Hey there, good morning. My name is Stephen Dina. I'm one of the full-time librarians here at Mary Costa College, and I'm making this really quick video for Professor Williams' SOC 125 class. I'm hoping it's going to be helpful. If not, you're always welcome to come in and visit with the librarian in person. We also have 24-hour live chat online. So there's three things I'm going to do really briefly. I'm going to introduce you to JSTOR, how to find journal articles in JSTOR. How to hopefully cite an APA style, and what an annotated bibliography is. So we're kind of in a transition period here in the library. The 6th edition of APA style, which we have used since it came out in 2010, just got a big update this past October 2019, but the library department decided that we don't want to spring a new style of APA on students or faculty mid-academic year. So we decided to wait until summertime and fall to roll out the new book, the new guidelines. So this is the 7th edition of the APA manual, which came out in October. But in preparing to teach for Professor Williams' classes, I couldn't in good conscience teach this one because it's going to be outmoded. It's going to be old like in 3 months. So I'm going to show you how to do the basics of 7th edition because that's what you'll be using going forward in college. But please know that if you approach a librarian at the reference desks, we will be helping you with the 6th edition just because my colleagues have not had a chance to kind of master the 7th edition yet. I'm the only one that has started poking in it because it's kind of my area. So please bear with us. Professor Williams did say that you're welcome to use either 6 or 7 as long as you're consistent in your assignments, so try not to switch it up. But just be wary that if you come to the library asking for help with 7th edition, we're not going to be able to really help you in person. I can, but this 7th edition guide is available in the libraries, and you can also use the APA website, which is apastyle.org, I believe, but their website is up to date supporting the 7th edition. That was a big introduction. I hope it makes sense, and sorry for any confusion. This will all be over come summertime when we just do 7. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is introduce you to what an annotated bibliography in APA style is. So from the college homepage, to get to us, you want to just click on Library. And from here, you're always welcome to pop down into our citation guides, so cite in APA or MLA style. As a reminder, this is still the 6th edition information, but it's still helpful. So, and as well, we have a sample annotated bibliography on our APA website. So let me show you what that looks like. So what a annotated bibliography is after your name and your instructor and course number and all that in title, you give a citation. For this class, I'm assuming for journal articles, so you're going to get your APA citation, and then you give just a few sentences summarizing what the article is about. Next source, you give the citation in APA style, the journal source citation in APA style, and then brief discussion about what the journal article is about. I think for you, my recommendation is once you get to a scholarly journal article is to look at the abstract or the summary. That's the very beginning of the article. And then the introduction and the conclusion are going to be the most useful parts of articles. Everything in between might be a little bit much, but try them. But I think you're going to get the most salient information from the abstract, the introduction, and the conclusion. Do know that just like in a references page, your citations are alphabetized, so make sure they're alphabetized A to Z, and that also anything past the first line is indented ½ an inch. That's all standard for APA style. So yeah, that's what an APA annotated bibliography is. Cool. So the next thing I want to show you is how to get to JSTOR. So from the library homepage, you're going to want to click on databases. That's below this kind of one search bar. In case you're wondering, the one search is how you get to search for lots of things at one time, including books and ebooks, DVDs and streaming videos, articles from magazines, newspapers, and journals. For this class, though, I'm going to have you jump directly into JSTOR only. So click on databases. And then JSTOR will be alphabetically down here under J, but we also can jump in at the very top. You'll notice that we have our biggest 4 databases listed at the top here, including JSTOR. So off campus or at home, you have to log in with your Surf ID and password. And then you get into JSTOR. Here's where you can type your search term. So let's do like education, college, and success. I mean, whatever you want to put in there. I do recommend for this assignment that you select narrow by item type articles. So there's lots of other things in here, book chapters, book reviews, pamphlets. For this class, I'm assuming you're going to want to focus exclusively on articles, probably in English, but you can just leave that if you want. Well, why not? Let's put English. And then search. So I'm searching for journal articles with those 3 words, education, college, success. Good. So here's one. Success in community college. Do institutions differ? This article was written by these 4 authors: Charles Klottfelter, Helen Ladd, Clara Mushkin, and Jacob Vigdor. The journal that was published in was called Research in Higher Education. It was in the 54th volume of that journal, the 7th number, and it appeared on these pages. So all that information is going to be in your APA citation. So let's say you jump into the article, you read it, it looks good, I want to cite it. Oh, I guess I can show you. So the abstract again is right here at the very first page. And then if you page right, I don't see an intro, but I will show you where the conclusion is. Past all the data and the methods, the discussion of what was discovered. Jeez, it's a long article. Oops, appendix. Okay, let me see. Conclusion. Okay, good. So this is the discussion. Sorry, this is the results. This is what they found. This entire 15 pages is kind of summed up in these next few paragraphs. So that's what I think you'll most benefit from using. And then the citation tool, if you decide that you want to cite this journal article and discuss it briefly in your annotated bibliography, is right here. So cite this item, a few different styles. You're welcome to grab the APA citation from here and then put it into your annotated bibliography. I will tell you that most of the databases get really close to correct citations, but there's usually a few things off that you'll just need to fix. So I can tell you now, this for this citation, this S in the article title is capitalized correctly, but this C and this C should be lowercase, as well as this I should be lowercase and this D should be lowercase. So in APA style, only the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle, which immediately follows the colon, and any proper nouns are capitalized. And then if you decide to use APA 7, you're also going to take away this junk. So you're going to take just this, you're going to fix the title, and then if this journal article has a DOI, which stands for Digital Object Identifier, it's usually on the first page, you're going to put that at the end of the citation. And if it, so let me see if it does. It does, okay. So there's a DOI there. It always starts with a 10. That's that string of numbers and sometimes letters. You're going to put that at the end of after the page range. So again, we have all that. And then we're going to I'll show you on the next section, but you're going to put the DOI here with something just before it. If there is no DOI in an article, you're just going to stop here after the page range, and you don't have to do anything more. So if there's a DOI, you put it at the end with a little addition, which I'll show you momentarily. If the article does not have a DOI, a digital object identifier, you end with the page range. Articles older than about 2009, 2010 will not have DOIs. That was a system that was introduced around then. But just be aware that you might have to hunt for that DOI. It's usually somewhere on the first page, usually in the header of the article or in the footer. Okay, and so the last thing I want to show you, so that's finding journal articles in JSTOR. The last thing I want to show you is I'm going to give you a brief introduction to APA citing. So in addition to your references page at the end, you also have to, in a full paper, which again, this is not your annotated bibliography, but in a full paper, you have to give in-text citations. So that looks something like these first 3 bulleted examples here. According to Jones, and then in parentheses, we have the year of the journal article, students often had difficulty using APA style, especially when it was their first time. So that's a quotation, and quotations always require the page number of the journal article. So again, we have the author of the article, author or authors. We have the year the journal article was published. We're using quotation marks because we took a direct quote from the article, and then we end that with a specific page it appeared on, period outside that. The other way to cite in text is by not naming the authors directly. So this last example, some sociologists have found that cultural capital and social capital are invaluable assets to help students succeed in college. I took that information from an article by Brown and Goldberg that was published in 2020, but since it was not a direct quotation because I paraphrased, I'm welcome just to leave it with the authors and the year in parentheses. The thing with authors and APA Style 7 is if there's one author and you want to name the author in the sentence, like I showed you the first example, you just put it like that. Luna 2020. Parentheses, it's the same thing. Last name, comma 2020 in parentheses. If you are stating the authors and there's two authors, so according to Salis and D'Agostino, children who swim are safer around pools, right? So if you want to name the authors in a sentence, you're going to join the two authors with the word and. However, if you want to simply name the authors in the parentheses, some child safety experts say that children who swim have a better chance of survival if they fall in a pool. And then at the end of my sentence, I would put in parentheses, Salis and D'Agostino 2020. Hopefully that's making sense. And then the big update, which is different from this old 6 APA style, is for APA 7, at the point that you have 3 or more authors, you simply put the first author's last name and then et al. And there's a period after the L in et al. So let's say that I'm reading a journal article written by like 10 people, or 5 or 3. I might say Johnson et al. 2020 think that trees are really pretty on highways, right? So I'm not going to list all 10, 5, or 3 authors. I just say Johnson, the first author. Or if I don't want to name Johnson in my sentence, I just want to say some folks who work on roads like seeing trees in medians of highways. And then I would put in parentheses Johnson et al. 2020. Okay, so that's the kind of gist of number of authors and how you cite them. The only difference you'll notice in the new style is for 2 authors, you join authors with and. You join the 2 authors with and if you're actually naming them in the sentence, and with an ampersand if you're not. Otherwise, for 1 author and for 3 or more authors, it's the same. Okay, the last thing I want to show you here's a sample references page in APA 7. So this would come at the end of a research paper. No, remember how I mentioned that journal articles with DOIs, you put that at the very end? In addition to putting the DOI at the end of your citation, you also have to add something. You have to add https://doi.org/. And that just essentially turns this DOI number into a URL. So if your article has a DOI, just add this little web URL to the beginning. That's all you have to do. If your article does not have a DOI, such as this third article down here, you simply stop after the page range. That's all. So if there's a DOI, make it a website with the prefix of HTTPS, If your journal article does not have a DOI, just end after the page range. Nothing more goes here. Also, I'll point out they're alphabetized and they have the hanging indent. The last thing I want to say, if you're citing your book, I also gave you an example of how to cite books. So you're going to have author, year, title or italicized, and publisher. Same thing with multiple authors. For 2 authors, you're going to join with ampersand. And for books with lots of authors, you list, for 21 or less authors, you have to list all of them. So notice that for the sociology OpenStax book, We list all of them, and then the ampersand comes before the final author's last name, the year, title in italics with the edition, and the publisher. We also give the URL. So if you're citing this textbook, here is your APA 7 citation. You're welcome. And do remember that if you end up citing the textbook in a research paper, since there's more than 3 authors, you're just going to give Griffins et al. You're just going to give Griffins et al. For in-text citations. And then the last thing I want to show you is when you use the automated citation generators in JSTOR and EBSCOhost, they often give you wonky or slightly incorrect information. Sometimes the authors are listed wrong. So a lot of times they'll give like first name, comma, first name, and first name, last name. For APA, we know that you have to give last name, comma, first initial, middle initial, comma, last name, first initial, and then before the final author, ampersand, and then the final author, last name, comma, first initial, middle initial. So if you see any other variation that's not last name, comma, initials, it's wrong. Sometimes also, as we saw with JSTOR moments ago, the titles are not listed correctly. So they often will capitalize all words in a title. But as a reminder, for APA style, only the first word of the title, the first word of the subtitle after the colon, and any proper nouns, which the rest of these words here are not, are capitalized. And then finally, there's for journal citations in APA style, you want to italicize the journal and the volume number. So the journal name with capital letters for journal titles, which is a little different than article titles, and the journal number, volume. The journal number is in parentheses immediately following the volume, and it's not italicized. So, sorry, this is going longer than I wanted, but let me go up here to this journal article to show you those things here. So we have the authors listed correctly, last names with first and middle initials if they have them. We have the year in parentheses with the period. We have the title with only the first word, proper nouns, and the first word of the subtitle capitalized. STEM is an acronym, so that's okay to be capitalized. We then have the journal title, Science, in italics with a comma, and the volume number italicized also. And then we have an issue in parentheses, comma, and then we have the page range where this article appeared on. It looks like this journal article also had a DOI, so I grabbed that number, that series of letters and numbers starting with a 10, and I just typed in https://doi.org/ to make it a final URL, and there's no punctuation after that. Okay, so I think I'm done. I'm so sorry for how long this was. I hope it was useful. If not, you're welcome to visit with me. You can find me at Sandy Hook Library Monday nights, 5 to 9 p.m. I'm at Oceanside Tuesday, 11 to 2. I'm upstairs at Oceanside on Wednesday from 9:30 to 2:30, and I'm downstairs at Oceanside on Thursday from 11 to 1. So you're welcome to visit with me then. Otherwise, any librarian can help you, but keep in mind that we will be helping you at the desks with APA 6th edition. But everything I've showed you today from this handout is the APA 7th edition. Okay, folks, good luck, and we'll be around.